You're listening to the Magnetic Boss Podcast. I'm your host, Calandra Martin, intuitive brand designer for spiritual entrepreneurs. The Magnetic Boss Podcast is where visionaries come together to openly share wisdom and authentic conversations. I know that you are ready to leave your legacy in the world and become sought out in your industry. I also know that you are sick and tired of getting overlooked. You're ready to have a magnetic business. I'm here to help you create your magnetic brand. It's my mission to help you show up confidently with a professional, irresistible online presence. If you're in this for the long game and all in on the big vision you have for your business, let's dive in. Welcome back to the Magnetic Boss Podcast. Today's episode is long overdue, and I am so grateful to be here and to be giving you some updates on what's happening over here at Magnetic Boss Podcast and with the Magnetic Boss Studio. If you didn't hear some of the updates more recently on the podcast, I have been going through some major growth spurts in my business with hiring team and redefining and restructuring my signature offers and really getting in the mindset of how do we grow and how do we scale in a way that feels really good and really sustainable. So I want to talk a little bit about that today on the podcast and also share a bit of a journal entry life update with you, some of the things that you may or may not have seen on social media if you're not following me, and give you something to look forward to. What is coming next? So let's dive right in. So over the last month and a half or so, life has been a complete roller coaster, and I'm really grateful for all of it. I'll start by saying that, because every single time a challenge comes up, I am encouraged and almost forced, if you will, to grow to a new level and to really recognize what is working for me and what is not. And also to be acknowledging the support that I'm surrounded by. So a big shout out and thank you to those of you in my audience who have reached out and checked in on me, and also to my team, my close friends, and my family. Because in the last month, we were very excited to share that we were expecting baby number 2. And unfortunately, 2 days after I made the announcement to the world on social media that we were expecting another baby, we unfortunately lost that baby. I was about 8 weeks pregnant, just a little over 8 weeks, and it was completely unexpected. And it also happened simultaneously with us losing our 9-year-old dog to lymphoma. So it was a really, really hard month in July. But the reason that I have so much gratitude, despite being completely devastated and really challenged on an emotional level, I recognized how supportive my business has been through all of this. I was able to take away a week away from work. I was able to give myself the time that I needed to nurture my body, to grieve, and to spend time with my family. And if I had been working a regular job like I had done in the past, it probably would have looked a lot different. That experience would have been very, very different. So although it was really heartbreaking and difficult, I'm so grateful for my business because I was surrounded by so much love, so much support, and I really learned that part of building a brand, and although this is something that I already knew, it really was driven home with this experience. Part of building a brand, especially a personal brand, is sharing your story. And when you share your story, you allow people to feel connected to you. And in turn, you're able to serve those people on a much larger level. I made a post about this on social media, and I wanted to share this here on the podcast because it was really uncomfortable to make a celebration post with the world and then have to go and update everyone literally 48 hours afterwards that that celebration was no longer there. And it felt uncomfortable mostly because I was worried that I would be judged. I was worried that I was going to be judged for sharing my story. And I think that so many people who are building a personal brand feel that way at some point. And I just want to remind you that your business is actually not about you. You are the vessel and you are living your experiences so that you can show up and serve others. So sharing my story was really powerful because I got so much feedback from other people, other women that had been through similar experiences, and opening up to have that conversation really allowed me to be of service even in one of my most difficult moments. So that was the big update, the roller coaster that happened in the last month and a half in my business. And what is happening now on the back end as we are working behind the scenes while supporting clients. We have some really, really amazing projects happening behind the scenes. We are also thinking about forward growth. What happens next? And this is something that is so important to be able to do as the visionary, as the CEO in your business, because this is how you avoid being stagnant, becoming stagnant and not seeing growth, or getting frustrated that things aren't going your way. So when I zoom out in my business, I can very clearly see where there have been energy leaks. I can very clearly see where systems need to be updated or improved upon. And I can also see where we are going next in the larger scale of being able to grow the team, being able to help more people, and also keeping my priorities for myself and for my family front and center. Because when we are running service-based businesses and supporting other people, if we're not taking care of ourselves, we cannot show up for other people. So because of that, one of the decisions that I have made for the end of 2021 is that this podcast is going to go on a brief pause. And I say brief because we are absolutely coming back, and coming back stronger than ever before. So when I started this podcast, which was over a year ago now, I don't even know how many episodes we are in, but wow, it's been amazing. I can't even believe that we have this many episodes published on the podcast. When I started the podcast, it was a labor of love. I was so excited to sit down and record episodes and pour my heart out to you and share all of my knowledge with you. And all of those things are still true. But what has happened in my business is that my priorities have shifted and my vision has shifted for the direction of my business. So because of that, I've decided to pause the podcast for the remainder of 2021, and we will come back new and improved and probably with a new intro because I like shiny new things in 2022. So come January, you will see new episodes being released. We will start season 3, which is crazy to think. And this podcast will really be structured in a way that not only shares my knowledge with you, but also shares the knowledge of other experts in the industry. So with the growth of the team for the Magnetic Boss Studio, which is still happening behind the scenes, the more that the studio grows, the more time I have available to be in full creation mode. That means recording podcasts, getting on guest interviews, and really spending the attention, giving the attention and putting behind the intention of building this podcast up and making it what I desire it to be. So something that I follow in my business is that if you're going to do it half-assed, you shouldn't do it at all. And I want to be giving you my absolute all on this podcast. So that is the main reason for pausing the podcast. And I'm also seeing that towards the end of the year, everybody is so busy. I know that a lot of people have kids going back to school. We have holiday season coming up. And quite honestly, I want you to be able to spend the time during this pause to go inward, to be thinking about your own growth, whether that's in your business or your personal life, and to use this time, if you're not listening to the podcast on a weekly basis, to instead think about what your big vision looks like. Really map it out and start taking those tangible steps towards that vision so that when we come back in 2022, not only has the podcast grown and my business has grown, but yours has as well. So that is my goal, that is my intention, and my update for you with the final episode of Season 2 of the Magnetic Boss podcast. I want to make sure that you know that I appreciate you listening to this podcast so much. Your feedback, your reviews on iTunes, and your sharing of the show is really going to help us grow into the new year. So make sure, if you haven't listened to all of the episodes, go binge those, share them on social media, and tag me. The episodes from Season 1 and Season 2 will not be going anywhere. And then we will come back strong for Season 3 starting in January 2022. It's so hard to say that. It feels really weird to think that 2021 is almost over. This year has been wild, absolutely wild. And for those of you that might be wondering how you can stay connected in the meantime, there will be a weekly newsletter happening over on my mailing list. If you go to calandramartin.com/quiz, that will get you on the mailing list. You'll also get to take the free brand personality quiz, which is going to help you map out your brand. And with that weekly email, I'll be sharing an intuitive reading with you, and also updates as you need to hear them, and valuable content as you need to get it right to your inbox. So that is the best way to stay connected in the meantime. And definitely stay tuned for some juicy giveaways with the launch of the new season of the Magnetic Boss podcast. Okay, I'm sending you so much love, and I will talk to you in the new year.
Thank you so much for tuning in today. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe wherever you are listening so you never miss a beat. For episode show notes, visit calandramartin.com/podcast. Your iTunes reviews and your sharing of the show helps us reach more magnetic bosses just like you. Until next time.